I see the future is very, very bright for women. There are quite a few young ladies and women that are in my program. And I get to meet one-on-one with a few of them. And it's astounding to learn about them, even though they're only 16 or 17 or 18 years old, and what their aspirations are, what they want to achieve in life. Welcome to Love, Listings, and Legacy, where love, community, and building a lasting impact meet. We are Mony and Sophaline, a husband and wife real estate team, sharing our perspectives on life, real estate, and philanthropy, our stories about resilience and service. Join us each week as we share our journey of life, business, and giving back, all while building a legacy for our family and community. This is Love, Listings, and Legacy, where hearts, homes, and philanthropy come together. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Love, Listings, and Legacy with
Mony Nup
and Sophaline Mao. Thank you all so much for returning. And Mony and I are both so grateful for you spending your time with us. And in this episode, we have a very special tribute for the month of March. As all of you may know, it is Women's History Month. And together, Mony and I would like to honor and celebrate Women's History Month by featuring interviews with women in our community who have done extraordinary things. And we hope that their stories will inspire you to also pursue your own leadership journey. So with that said, I thought it'd be really special today if I get to ask my husband some questions as it pertains to the women in his life who have shaped him, who have inspired him, who have empowered him. Because as I always say, behind every great man is a great woman.
Yes, that is true.
So, all right. So let's kick things off. So yeah, let's put this over to Mony. And, obviously we all came from a woman. Mm-hmm. We all were raised by women, and we all have women who are amazing family members and, community members. So could you maybe share with us, maybe a little bit about the women in your life, maybe in early childhood and what that was like?
Of course. Well, again, welcome. Thank you for taking the opportunity to join us. But this is a very, very special month. It's on honoring women's history and all the contribution they've made to society and to the world. It's amazing. So, I don't want to get in trouble, so I have to start with her, with my wife.
Well, you don't have to.
She plays the biggest role in my life, and we met about 4 years ago. We've been married 3 years now, and then during the last 3 years, I've learned so much from you, and about so many things, from love to family to just who I am, the Cambodian Khmer person that I am. So there's just so many things I learned about myself through you, and so thank you for that. But the other three people that I think about also would be obviously my mom. My mom passed away about 8 years ago, but she, although she has a lot of things that happened in her life, and just from being a woman in developing countries or from Cambodia, usually. They're like the second class, third class citizen in our country. But, and then being involved in the war and in refugee camps, and came to the United States of America, didn't speak a word of English. It's just so much for her. But nonetheless, she got us here to the United States of America. My mother was the leader in our household. In fact, what the stories I've learned is that my father used to stay home when my mother go work the border of Cambodia and Thailand, and be like the arms dealer. Like she was making deals. To make sure mom was hustling. Wow. and got make sure that there's food on the table during the war. Make sure that we're fed. So mom did all that. Mm-hmm. So she's very, very strong. I think I got some of those characteristics from her, where I don't know how to stop, and I just know how to go, and I just know how to get it done. And then a couple other people that play a role in my life, and I still talk to today, I think about is Mrs. Charlie Young, my third grade teacher, whom I met in 1984 when I first arrived in Stockton, California. And it was a school, a Nightingale School, is right by the airport, Stockton Airport. And I still talk to her today. You know, her birthday's coming up on April 1st, on April Fool's Day. So I usually talk to her at least once or twice a year and just chit chat with her and catch up with her. And it's she played a major role in my life because she took such an interest in me when I was in school. And in fact, the first year I was in a class, I won handwriting contest, spelling contest, and I won math contest. That's not bad for the first year in the United States of America and for someone who didn't speak English, but someone who thrived to learn and want to learn. So, and then of course, now the last person I'll mention is actually your mom. Your mom, you know, she of course raised a wonderful woman next to me here that I got to marry, and I think that who she is a reflection of her parents, especially her mom. So they have a really, really good relationship. So that's one of the qualities I look for, of course. But I don't think she had that. We may not be married right now. But to that point is there's a lot of good quality about mom and your mom, and now she's my mom too, and it's been amazing, and she makes the best food. So thank you, mom.
Because your wife is slowly learning how to cook.
Slowly, very slowly.
Yeah. So no, well, thank you for that. That was so beautiful, and that was so heartfelt. And I just want to say that, you know, unfortunately, I never got to meet your mom, and I know she's watching over us in spirit. And I think a lot of her passion and a lot of her drive, I think I definitely see in you. And so, if anything, that is a legacy that mom left behind for you, even though she's not here, and just that sense of grit, I think, to not only come to America as a refugee, but also to come with so much trauma and experiencing so much loss, surviving the genocide, which you and I are actually going to focus on in April, because it's going to be 50 years since the fall of Cambodia. And so, and Mony mentioned, you know, obviously my mom, and thank you. And she loves you. She adores you. And I think her love language is cooking, because she knows that I'm not much of a cook when it comes to Cambodian food. And so I think that's how she shows love, because we got spoiled with it so much growing up that now you get to be spoiled.
Absolutely.
And by the way, you were right. Last night you were looking for takrung.
Yeah.
And Mony was right. Mom actually told him, and we found it this morning because we called her. So you were right, honey. I apologize. So yes, takrung is this Cambodian dish with fermented fish, and she uses tilapia, and you eat it with fresh vegetables. And that is the only way that I can get my husband to eat his vegetables, if it's takrung. So all of our Cambodian listeners, you know what takrung is. So,
absolutely.
you know, with that said, let's go ahead and fast forward to maybe your professional life. And I know you had spent 17 years as a police officer, you know, and just I wanted you to maybe share with the audience as an officer. Obviously, we in another episode talked about your calls that you had to respond to, domestic violence, things that were very difficult. Now, as we look at women's contribution in terms of just in different industries, now, when you were in law enforcement in the 90s, did you have female colleagues? Was there a woman leader? Was there anyone that stands out in your mind? Maybe someone that you met on a call, or someone that you helped? Anything that you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, when I got hired in 1995 as a police officer at the age of 22 years old, luckily I came to Livermore PD. There were plenty of women officers at the time.
Okay,
so,
great.
In fact, still today, I think we have one of the highest women police officer rate probably in all of the area.
That's
in the Bay Area,
incredible.
probably. That's always been good, you know. So I remember working with one of my favorite people was Officer Tracy Rebeo, who lives in Danville, retired now. We had a Lieutenant Ava Garavado, who's also retired, and Captain Wolvington, who was hired from Oakland PD to come to work with us here at the PD. So I've had some, though they were strong, you know, they were strong women leaders. Mm-hmm. They obviously helped shape the department, because, you know, I think that if we have a diversity in faces and in genders, I think the department could always do better because of that. I think that's much needed.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I've always been balanced for me when I in that industry for what I saw. Of course, the percentage is not as high as men. Of course, it's still male dominated industry, but we've seen such a change. There are women sergeant, there's women lieutenant, there's captains and women chief of police. In fact, if you look at statistically in the state of California, I believe, or maybe even nationwide, I believe it's only between 23 to 25% of all law enforcement officers are chief of police. So, which is still not bad, but it's growing. It's slowly, but just like everything else, it's very, very slow. But I just hope that that trend will continue to move upward.
Well, that's great. No, absolutely, and we are excited to honor women leaders in law enforcement at the end of the month and honor Women's History Month as part of the Women's Council of Realtors. So I'll be sharing that a little bit later on. But no, that's great that in your line of work as a police officer that you did have women in law enforcement that you worked alongside with serving and protecting the community. Now, after you left Livermore Police Department and joined the realtor community, one thing that you really mentioned a while back, and you said that real estate actually is an industry where women and men are almost, the ratio of the number of women realtors versus men is actually quite equal. And then you had also mentioned there is no gap in pay equity.
Absolutely.
And that realtors, regardless of your gender, you actually earn significantly closer to each other. So could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah. So, in my perception, I see there's more women in real estate than men. I could be wrong. Maybe I could be wrong about that. But I see. But if anything, it's very close to being even in terms of men and women in real estate as realtors. But on the pay side, when you take a listing, you're obligated to say, hey, this home is going to be paid this much to the buyer's agent, for example. So when that happens, whatever that percentage is that you agree with the home seller, is that's what everybody's going to get paid, whether it's a man or a woman. So when a woman realtors come and make the offer and get their offer accepted, she's going to be paid. It's the same as if a man were to get that to purchase that home for the buyer. So in fact, a lot of women who do well in this real estate, they make a lot of money, just like men do, and it's really equal pay. There's no, the male's going to get 2.5% or 3%, and the woman's going to get 2% or 2.25 point. It's not like that at all. It's a set based on your agreement with the seller, homeowner.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look into the data, and the reason why I kind of want to just touch on that really quickly is that sometimes as women, we don't negotiate and advocate for ourselves. And that has been proven in a study. When you look at corporate jobs, many times women will tend to accept the salaries as they're presented and typically do not ask for more. And so you actually sparked something that would be really interesting to look at, is that obviously you are going in to represent a seller, but while you're interviewing to take on a listing, I'm just curious to see how many women realtors are willing to actually advocate and fight for that percent that they truly believe, or do they simply just take what's offered and just kind of go with it? So, I mean, it's actually subjective, right? I mean, unless you actually do a study and look at the percentage. But one of the things that I have learned, and I think when I say I've learned from my own experience, is that when I was younger, starting off in corporate America, I tended to not negotiate for more. I didn't, because number one, I didn't know I could. Secondly, as a woman, sometimes you're kind of conditioned to be very kind of agreeable, right? Like you can't be too disagreeable, because it's like, oh my God, like she's being difficult, or she's being this, or she's being that. And so that's something that I think, I think as the generations change, it might come, and it might come with experience as well.
So that's my suggestion, is that for me, the reason why I fight for more is because I know what I'm worth. So that if you have the experience and you have the confidence to do so, and you have the ability to communicate and articulate what it is that you're looking for, then you just have to speak your mind and be upfront about it. For example, I had a recent ask by a homeowner saying, hey, he's comparing me to this other person, this other agent. And I said, based on the numbers, I think you should go with him because he offers you a better deal.
Well, better deal based on like just the numbers,
right?
But numbers doesn't mean value.
But to the point, I was confident enough to say, hey, that's a better deal. But if you want to work with someone who had this much experience, that I could do this for you, that I could save you money with the vendors, with all the people I've worked with already. We have a process, we have a trained process in place. Then you should consider hiring me, but it's not always about the numbers.
Yeah,
that's the point.
I think that is a skill like both men and women need. It's articulating your value, and I think it's selling value and not based on price, right? So, actually, that would be a great episode later on. We can talk about that. But moving forward into something that you are also super passionate about and that you've devoted your life to is nonprofit and giving back. And when we look at the realm of service to others, I think that Mony has met a lot of incredible women. So could you maybe share about some of the women leaders, women philanthropists that you've come across that have made significant impact in the community who you admire?
There are quite a few in this area because I'm the co-founder of the Tri-Valley Nonprofit Alliance, which my co-founder and I, Kathy Young, and I met in the elevator 11 years ago as of this month. And we started this organization. And as a result, I had the opportunities to meet so many incredible women leaders in the industry. For example, first name that comes to mind would be my co-founder, Kathy Young. Mm-hmm. Kathy she's a visionary, and she and I, got along pretty well, and we just did what we had to do in order to grow our organization, including picking, she picked a few board members, I picked a few board members, brought them all together, and grow our organization to be where it is today. So, but she's also very strategic, very logistical in her own way, where I'm more about bringing the people, possibly the money and the things like that, and the connections within the community here, because I've gotten to know quite a few people here in town. But the other person that comes to mind would be Angie Caminati, for example. She's with Mac & Associates now. She is a nonprofit consultant, but she just got hired on as the exec director for the Fire Foundation, California Fire Foundation. And she's incredible in so many ways, from executive leadership to teaching executive leadership to consulting on a nonprofit side, how to start one, how to do everything in a nonprofit way. So she's incredible. And then the third person that come to mind, it's just so many, would be Susan Houghton. Susan Houghton started the Sunflower Hills, so where they provide housing for adults after 18 years old for artistic children or children with mental and physical disabilities. And it's amazing that she's able to do this in so many ways, right? To get the community involved and to fundraise. And she just done so many. That's just one organization she's a part of, but she started so many. You look at Kelly Bowers, for example, women leader, former superintendent of school, and now she's the president of Three Valleys Community Foundation in Pleasanton and serving the Tri-Valley here. So there's just so many amazing leaders in the nonprofit sector that I could go on and on and on and on.
I think also too, what I've noticed just in my 3-year stint of being in the Tri-Valley and just accompanying Mony to a lot of the nonprofit events is that there are so much, we can't even name all of them, just amazing women leaders in our very own community. And I think for me, just in my short time here, I have just been completely inspired by the likes of, former Mayor Kathy Brown and our executive director at Tri-Valley Haven, Christine Dillman. Just to name a few, I can go on, just like Mony said, but it truly is remarkable what one can do when they are passionate, and keeping in mind that they also have a family and that they are also a spouse, a loved one, a mother, grandmother. So that's one thing that for me, I am especially sensitive to, is that we see successful women and we see all their accolades and all their achievements, but we also need to recognize the women who do amazing things day to day in their own families. They are leaders. They lead their family. And so they may not be a CEO, a president, an executive director, but they are leading their families and they are providing the love, support, and nurturing that their families need, because then their children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews go on to become, great contributors to society. And so I definitely want to, highlight and celebrate those women as well, because many times I meet a lot of women just in the community networking, and the one thing that breaks my heart is when I hear someone introduce themselves and say, "Oh, I'm just a mom of 3. I'm just a stay-at-home mom." And then I am so quick to correct them. I said, "No, take out the just. You are a mom of 3 and you are running a household. That's like running a company." And I always tell Mony is that the sign of a successful leader is how well they can run their own family and their own household, right? Because before you run a 100-person organization, right? Like how well intact is everything at home, and that's how I judge success, and that's just how I measure success.
I think it's a sign of a good leader is how good your wife is. So yeah,
that too.
How amazing your wife is.
Yeah, and how much you value your wife, and but at the end of the day, it's a team. And I think that for Women's History Month, Mony and I are super excited to feature some of the amazing women that he actually just named. So hopefully, we'll be reaching out to them and getting that going. And we would really love to highlight and have them share their story through our podcast so that they can inspire other people. Because Mony and I, we've only done a certain number of things, right? We want to highlight and elevate these incredible women as well. And
there's a lot of them here.
Yes. And just to add to what Mony had added, we focus specifically here in the Tri-Valley, but I just want to touch on the incredible women that I have had an opportunity to work alongside with in other countries. For example, in like pharmaceuticals, I think I learned so much from my managers who were women, because I learned how they were able to be authentically themselves and still command the room and still get things done at work. And then I also had an amazing woman manager who actually was a champion for me and who allowed me to go to school while working full time so that I could get my MBA and my master's in Asia Pacific Studies. And that was 4 years. And she really supported me on that journey. And so I think for me, I've been very blessed to have amazing women who have gone before me and have, dragged me along and picked me up and helped push me along. And I think that that's something that, we as women need to do a better job of, is advocating and supporting each other and uplifting each other versus, trying to tear each other down. And then also too, when I lived and worked in Cambodia, I was so incredibly inspired by the young women, younger than us, honey, the next generation of Cambodian women who are running software companies, building technology teams, running nonprofits, running their family business, maybe taking on a business that their parents had built from 1979. When the country opened up again, to now being the second generation business owner. And so I know that Mony's mom and my mom, they are strong women from another era, and their era was a time of conflict. It was a time of just, I don't know, I just want to say like other cultural pressures. But I feel like now in Cambodia, a lot of the women are amazing, and they have actually become more independent and have a higher place in society economically, because they've had no choice but to make, like, they had to survive, right? They had to make it. And so I think that's why there's
I see
incredible leaders out there.
I see the future is very, very bright for women. For example, as the President Scholar coordinator, a program coordinator at Las Positas College, there are quite a few young ladies and women that are in my program. And I get to meet one-on-one with a few of them. And it's astounding to learn about them even though they're only 16 or 17 or 18 years old, and what their aspirations are, what they want to achieve in life, but in terms of how they think, how they talk, how they so kind and considerate, and talking about their family, talking about their future, talking about what they want to do. They look at strategically how to get to the next level. For example, going to certain schools or getting certain jobs and internships and all this. It's incredible. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities, and all they ask too is for the same access and opportunity as men do. And I'm a firm believer. Like, I just love mentoring a lot of people. So I have a lot of women that I mentor and that I help. I'm proud that I love to encourage them to rise up, because everything rise and falls on leadership. I believe in that, and I love seeing them rise up and become a leader for themselves.
Absolutely. Well, that was a great session, and I think we have a lot more to come when it comes to celebrating and honoring the contributions of women, especially in this month of March. We want to really dedicate it to honoring the stories and the legacy that they are going to leave behind. And so Mony and I are so grateful for you to join us in another episode, and we invite you to come back as we continue to interview and share these inspiring stories from women right here in our local community, even abroad. We'll see what we can do. Yep.
So happy Women's History Month, and thank you for all that you do. Thank you for all that you champion for not only our family, but for us as men as well, because we need your help, and we appreciate your contribution. We appreciate you helping shape us too as men. I certainly have learned a lot from my wife and the many great leaders in the community here. So thank you for all you do. Thank you for all your contribution. And then cheers to each and every one of you for being the great women that you are, and then doing so many great things to help us all in this community. Thank you.
Absolutely. I echo everything my husband just said. And if you haven't yet, please go ahead and like and follow our Love, Listings, and Legacy podcast anywhere that you consume your podcast. So that could be on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, or anywhere else podcasts are available. So with that said, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in a future episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining Love, Listings, and Legacy this week. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcasts and Spotify to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Join us next time as we continue to navigate the path from adversity to success, one property and one purpose-driven decision at a time. Thanks for listening.